If you're an artist looking for a way to sell your artwork and make a recurring revenue or income off of it, you're in the right place. I'm going to show you how to do that and walk you through the steps. This is a series of videos that I'm creating on this process. There's an introduction video also taking your artwork and turning it into a book available for sale. This is self-publishing, and there are so many possibilities to self-publishing. Once you learn to self-publish, the ideas, possibilities, and doors will open up for you. This is simply one of those ideas I'm sharing with you today. But I also teach other self-publishing or how-tos and life coaches, other types of books someone may want to self-publish. Today, we're walking through the steps of turning your artwork into a published piece of work that is available for others to purchase multiple times, and it's one of the few things that you actually can receive recurring revenues or royalties off of. So you do it one time and it's always out there to bring you potential income in. This is a very simple piece of art. I've seen some absolutely extraordinary artwork out there from some of you, so if I can do this, you can do this. I just recently started picking up art because I've been self-publishing for a while, and I wanted to use my artwork versus graphics available out there. That way you eliminate any copyright issues or infringement that you might run into by using other works that you find out on the web. This is a series that I created called Postcards from Paris. And in this series, there's several books, and these are traveler's journals. And a traveler's journal is journals that fit inside of a traveler's binder. And a traveler's binder is a leather binder with bands, and the books literally just slide into the binder. That is why that I created these. It actually shows the traveler's notebook binder in the introduction video, so check that video out. So that's one example. Let me show you a couple other examples. This is an example of a blank dark page journal for use with gel pens. On the back, you'll see that I always put my information, and there's a reason why, and I'll share that with you as well too. This is another example. This is a piece of artwork that I created in pencil and then overlaid in metallic watercolors. It's posted on my Instagram page, which is @byPennyMorgan, so you can always see my new designs there. I'm starting to drop exclusive designs on my Patreon site, so check that out as well. Here on my YouTube channel, you'll find videos of the designs I create. So watch for those videos, and you can also learn some of the techniques that I use for creating my artworks, because I work with watercolors, colored pencils, and who knows what else. There is a actual acrylic painting that I did many years ago and never finished it. So it's actually called a work in progress. These are just a few examples of using art in self-publishing. But there are so many different ways that you can utilize self-publishing. I talk about that a lot in my live online workshops, and I have a very small group that I take, and I work with them, and the goal is to go from concept or a book idea to publish by the end of the class, and it's only a 2-day class. So you can literally have your work published in the 2-day workshop. Be sure you see the details in the video description below. So let's jump into this, and today we're going to create the simple setup of a journal/planner book, including proper front matter pages and template pages to get you rolling. I'll show you how to use your artwork on the cover and throughout the book. This video is packed with design techniques to get you rolling and walks you through the first 100 pages of the creation. This video sets you up to move directly into publishing in the next upcoming video. We'll be using the free online graphical platform Canva to set up and design your book layout for publishing. I'm using one of my new artwork creations, and this is a watercolor and pen creation. I'll have the process video up out there for you on YouTube as well. So I'm going to share my screen now. So as you can see, I've already created an account with Canva. It is free, so all you've got to do is just have your email and set up your Canva account. It's at Canva, Canva.com, and you can create an account. They do have a paid version as well called Canva Pro, and I actually use Canva Pro, which has quite a few more benefits, and I'll share some of those benefits with you as well. I did not start out using Canva Pro, so you can work just fine off the Canva Basic. The first thing that we want to do, once Canva opens up, it's going to open up to the home page, and it will look like this. So this is your home page, design anything, and it gives you lots of information here. And then if you've used it to design before, you'll have all your designs located here. So we're going to hop over to the Create a Design icon at the top right. But before we do that, let me show you just a couple of things. The primary things we're working with today will be creating a design. You can learn, you can take the time to explore Canva and learn about a lot of its features. You'll learn a lot of those features as we work through this today as well. But let me go ahead and click on Create a Design because that's what we're here for today. And we're going to start with a custom design. You can see this is one of the ones I've used before. It'll show you recents, but we're going to do a 6x9. That's a really common size of journal or planner, and so that's what we're going to work with today. And don't make this mistake because you'll have to change it if you do. Go ahead and change this to inches because we're working in inches today. So let's just go ahead. It automatically defaults to pixels. If you know pixels and you want to work in pixels, that is fine. We're doing a 6x9 book, but I'm going to create it at 6.25 by 9.25. And the reason is I want to make sure that there's no white space on the outside of the print areas when this book is printed. So you'll want to be really careful when you do it this way and make sure that you're not pushing your design all the way to the edge because you are going to lose a little bit off the edges when it's printed. But I like doing it this way to prevent white space from showing on the edges. We're going to hit Create Design, and now it's going to open up our basic design area. Now we are in our book design. And you can change the name of your book design up here, but I always include the size. And this will be Watercolor Floral Journal. Now we have our design names here. If you click on File, there's one thing that's important, and we want to have those margins on. You can also choose to have on your rules and guides, rules is ruler. You can choose to have those on if you want. I like to show these margins because that's going to let me know where my print needs to be. So if I'm using text, it needs to be inside of these margins. There's a feature here that you'll notice says resize, and this is a pro feature because it has the crown, and it's a great feature for you to have available if you wanted to publish this book in various different sizes, or let's say you started working on this book and then decided that this size really wasn't going to work best for it. You could literally resize your book once you have it completed. Otherwise, you have to pretty much redesign your whole book. And as you can see, when I click on this, it's asking me to try Canva Pro free. And it will give you a free 30-day trial. So you can certainly take advantage of that. It's important that when it comes to using elements, when it comes to creating books, that you, especially for print on demand, which is what we will be doing, is print on demand books, that you want to stick with only the free elements inside of Canva. Even if you are on a pro membership, They are not designed for you or licensed for you to be able to utilize for multiple prints, which is what print on demand is. So stay away from using anything other than the basic free elements inside of Canva regardless. That will just keep you from getting into trouble with any copyrights or infringement, where they can come and literally say, hey, you owe us royalties on your 5,000 books that you sold. Now we have our book set up and we have the first page. It's super easy to create more pages, and all you've got to do here is take a look at these buttons. You've got duplicate page and you've got add a page, but there's no need to do that just yet because we haven't got anything on our page. So now let's add some elements to our page. The first thing that I want to do is I want to create that forward facing page. And let me show you what I'm talking about. So when you create a book, the first page is going to be a right facing page, and it'll be here. I always like to use my cover on that page. You don't have to. You can certainly use a different graphic if you have created multiple graphics, but I'm going to actually just upload the graphic that I showed you already by clicking uploads over here in the left panel. This is where our elements will be. We're going to find that picture on my desktop. And then it's going to upload. It'll take just a second because it is a graphic. And then once that uploads, I can import it to my book page. And you can see here it's uploading. Okay, it has completed. So now I'm going to click this and bring it over to my book page. Now, this is the time when I would use some pro features, but I'm not working in my pro account today. I'm working in a demo account because I don't want to share all my secrets that's in my pro account. No, I'm just kidding. I'll be sharing a lot of secrets with you guys, but there's a lot of proprietary stuff in my pro account, so I will stay with the demo account. This is effects. There's a background remover. And Canva, this is new for Canva, and when they first brought it out, it was crappy, but they've improved it. So now it works really well, but we can't use it because we're not on a pro account. So what I'm going to do is I would remove that background is what I would do, but since we can't, I'm just going to go ahead and expand my picture. Probably wondering why I'm doing this, and it's just personal preference. It's being really glitchy. This will be the first inside page, which is a right-facing page. It doesn't make a difference that it's in color. Our book will be printed in black and white. I'm just making some adjustments by dragging the corners of the design so that it hangs off the page just a hair so there's no white space that shows. I don't want to take a chance of white area showing. This is what our cover will look like. Now, when I get ready to do my cover, I'm going to do my cover in Pro. I'm going to remove the background because I don't want it to look pixelated. And I'll show you how to do that in the next video. But for today's video, we're just setting up our book. So this is going to be our first forward-facing page. And we've got that set there. Our book is going to be published in black and white, so to do so, just click Filter from the second banner ribbon at the top, and then click Grayscale in the filters. That's what our first page will look like. The primary reasons for publishing in black and white versus color is, of course, cost to the consumer. We will be exploring the options more in the publishing process video. We've got our picture there, and so now we need to put the title of our book. And the title of this one is going to be You Belong Among Wildflowers. So let's get us a text box. You're just going to click your text over here on the left, and I'm clicking Add a Heading, and then I'm going to change my font. And there's a font that I want to use, and Canva's going to pull up a bunch of fonts here. And you'll see some of them with the crowns beside them for the Pro version, we want to stay away from anything that has the crown. So I'm going to use Goshi hand for my text on this. And there it goes. Remember I said we want to keep our text inside the margins. We're going to want to make this stand out text-wise. So there's one or two ways to do that. We're working with black and white here. So we can either do white text in a black box, or we can do black text and size it down and put it here in the corner. This is where you can play around with the text box. You can move it, resize it, change the position or angle of the text box. You also have the white ribbon at the top with the different text features available too. I'm going to move it around to get it in that white space, keeping it inside our margin. That will also be our cover page or something very similar to that. That is our first page in the book, and that is our right-facing page. So the next page we want to do, we want to add a page here. So let's go on to page 2. I just duplicated my page, which is fine. So I'm going to take this off. A couple of things you can do here that's pretty neat. You can leave this as a background, and we can go to transparency here, and we can make this transparent all the way down, so you just get like a shade of this in the background. And you can create it like that, and then we're going to create our forward on the book, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so now we're going to create the forward page in our book, and we're going to put some text on this page. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab this, copy it, just paste that there, and then I'm going to move it up here to the top and center it. And I'm going to change all the text in it to say forward. User tip, ding, ding, ding. You can copy and paste in Canva using your shortcut keys for Mac or PC, just like you would any other application. And voila, here we have our first text box. Now we're just grabbing a subheading box, but if you had this already created from a previous book, you could certainly open up that book in Canva, copy and paste the elements or an entire page from that book back into the working project. I use that functionality all the time in Canva. Since we do not have another publication created in this Canva account, we're working from scratch. Just positioning the text boxes using the pink structure lines that will appear, these will help keep your elements in alignment. Now let's just grab a different text. Just click the drop down menu here, and I'm going to grab Cardo. That is a free text, and you can see it changed my subheading there. So this is where we're going to put our copyright information and our copyright symbol, which is Option G on a Mac, gives us the copyright symbol, followed by the current year, your publishing logistics, or your name or LLC name. At the time of creating this video, Amazon, where we will be publishing, did not require you to have an LLC. I'm just making some size adjustments here. And I'm going to copy this box and paste it and just reuse it. And then just change the text in the box. Just work smarter, not harder. Now I'm just adding my copyright statement, which you're welcome to copy. We're just pulling this inside our margins because the box it dropped in was bigger. Let's fix this capital letter here. So let's do another Control V here and paste another box. And this is where our ISBN is going to go. ISBN is International Standard Book Number. Think of it like an automobile VIN number. This number is a 13-digit number that will identify your specific book. I'll show you exactly where to get that for free once we get to that stage of the publishing process. Now let's left justify these text boxes by using the icon on the white ribbon above. Let's add another text box. This is where we'll be putting our information about the book design. Starting with design created by. This is where you get to give yourself credit. This is exciting. You've created a book. You're getting ready to publish it. For many people, this is a lifelong goal coming to fruition. It's awesome. You're going to be a published author. And whether you are using your artwork or not, it's great to do that cover image created by and give credit to whoever you got your cover image from. There's another text here that I think I'm going to change these to. Canva has an undo button. We can certainly undo anything. I like the information section of the book to be kind of formal looking, so I'm going to use Courier Prime here. There we go. That looks a little more formal. And the same on these. So now our information forward is set up. There's one last thing that you want to add inside this page of your book, and that is information about where to find you. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. Create our other box here and drop it in line. You're looking for this pink line that shows up right there on the left, so it's justifying appropriately. Highlight all of our text in our box and add the last bit of text. This is where you want to think self-promotion. Add your website, YouTube channel, Instagram page, Twitter, wherever you want the public to connect and reach out to you. This is the time to think call to action. What is the call to action for producing this book? If you're doing it just for fun, that's great. But if you're doing it to drive traffic or sales somewhere, this is an opportunity for you to not miss. Remember, this will be on the inside cover of every book printed and sold. If you're an artist selling your artwork, maybe it's your Etsy page or your eBay page. If you're a life coach, then maybe it's your website. Or you could add your logo and general information about where the book is being published from. For example, Houston, Texas. These texts are 18, so we could certainly size these down to 16. And 16 is still considered a large print. I'll come back and add my logo because I do not have the graphics saved in this Canva account. The next page in our book, I like to do a page that looks like this. Since it's a journal, it's going to be a page that gives people a place to put their name and information should they misplace their book. So let's add this next page. Simply click the Add Page button located at the top of the last page. So in our book, this will be our first page. This is the page we just finished. You can see this is a back page. And then this next page will be another right facing page. When it comes to creating a book, I come from a professional training background in the corporate world, so there are 3 things to remember. The 3 C's: clear, concise, and consistent. So once you start with a text, stick with that text. You can have up to 3 different texts in your book, but 2 text pairings that work well together are going to be more pleasing to the eye. So, and you'll see that Canva over here on the left side actually gives you samples of text pairings that they have already deemed work well together. So you can certainly use their text pairings. I started out using their text pairings, and now I kind of just go rogue and use my own text pairings because I have favorites that I'm used to working with. But we'll grab that text and we're going to drop it right here. And we're going to left justify it. Let's change the size on this. We're at 22, so let's pull it up to 36. Pull our box out. And then let's add some lines for them to be able to write something here. So now it comes to finding an element here. So we want to use an element that gives some lines, or you could literally just go over here to elements and click and search for lines. It already appears in the search list because it's a recent search for me. So you could actually build 3 lines out here if you wanted to, 3 or 4 lines. Or we could go to photos or templates. Sometimes I can find some really cool stuff in templates that I can grab and use. Remember, you want to stay with free stuff, so you want to make sure if you're using something from Canva's templates that it is something free. So I'm going to just type into here journal or notes. Let's type in notes. And let's see if there's maybe a lined box or something. Here's one. You could just grab this right here. So it's going to grab the whole template. And then select Yes, Add as a new page. Now we should be able to see what elements are available on this template. And as you can see, they are separate elements here. So we can grab just this element. And what we want to do is just Control C that part and then come back up here, and there you go. That's a neat little trick that I learned. Then you can make it bigger. I like to keep it within the margins. There's nothing else that I want to use on this page, so I can just delete the whole page. There we go. So now we are on our way to having 3 pages completed in our book. Take a second, hit the thumbs up, and let me know you're liking this video and share it with a friend. Upcoming videos will cover finalizing your book in Canva, creating part 2, and combining them into a book for those over 100 pages. I'll show you how to create your cover using your artwork. Not an artist? That's okay. I'll be sharing where and how to find free graphics that will not cause you copyright issues. Setting up your publishing account, uploading your book and cover to the publishing site, making sure it's right for the printing process, pricing and markets, and what happens next. There's so much more, plus art. I will continually share regular art videos for more ideas and creativity, so be sure you are subscribed with those notifications set to all so you don't miss anything. For even more insights, tips, and exclusive secrets, consider joining me on Patreon. So now let's move on to the next page. And if we're just doing a blank lined journal, you can see how easy this is to accomplish. Now comes the fun part, and where you get to bring in your creative side, because there are so many possibilities here. I'm just going to play around with a few things and show you a couple of things that I've done and like to do. If we look at the transparency of this background image, we can make adjustments on this and decide whether we want to use this as a background for the pages or maybe for every other page. And you never know, someone may want to just doodle or color in this transparency background that we've used. I really like exploring all of the functionalities of Canva and playing around with some of the features like the transparency and overlaying images, because it gives your designs a uniqueness. Now I'm just going to add another blank page and start to grab some elements or maybe a template and pick pieces from the template. Remember to continue to use only the free elements in Canva. I'm kind of liking this and parts of it. Now I'm just picking apart this template and removing some of the pieces that I don't really like. I'm going to just kind of change things up and make it my own, change the text and the colors of things, because remember, our book is going to be in black and white. That's how it's going to be printed. So color's not really going to be a factor here. I just want to check this text and see if this is actually a free text. As you can see, this template here has used a text pairing, and I'm liking this text that the word daily's in, which this text is called Brittany. So I want to go in and search for this text to make sure it is a free text, and that's what I'm doing right now. So I need to actually click off of the text and find it in the selection column and see if it has a crown beside it or not, so that I can make sure that I'm selecting a free text element. So yay, it is a free text. We'll go ahead and keep that, and we will just make some changes here in the wording and make it our own so that it's featured the way that we want it in our book. I'm just making a few more element changes here. I'm going to go ahead and change this color, although I don't have to, because the printers will just pick this up and print this in grayscale, because that's how we're going to designate it when we go to print. So the only reason you'll see me changing this is because I really like to see how it's going to look when it's printed. And it's difficult for me to picture it in grayscale or black and white print when there's color on the page. That's the only reason that I change it. But when you publish through Amazon, they actually do a really good job of changing this and converting it over to grayscale when you're working in color. So this really is a little bit of overkill, kind of an extra step. It's not a bad idea to leave your book in color, because if you decided that you wanted to publish in color, then you've already got your book created in color. So it's never a bad idea to just leave it in color. You may actually want to publish a black and white version and a color version, just for the sake of price difference. So now we're seeing what this is actually going to look like once it's printed in that black and white. So now I'm just making some final tweaks on this page, because once we've got this page the way we want, we're going to duplicate this page. So it's really important to get this page exactly the way that you want it, because you don't want to duplicate this page for the book multiple times and then start changing elements. If you do that, you're creating a lot of extra work for yourself, because you have to go to each page and change the individual elements that you made the change on the first page. Whereas if you get the first page exactly the way that you want it, and then you duplicate the page, it's super easy and so much of a time saver. But the other thing you can do is to just delete all of the pages, make your changes on the first page, and then recreate or duplicate all of the pages again. And of course, that's if it's just something you just can't live without and you have to make the change. This little button here will be your best friend and lifesaver. This is the undo button, conveniently located next to the redo button. Especially useful if you delete something that you didn't want to delete, like I just did. You can see you can really get caught up in the elements of your book. Now, we can also zoom in. So let's zoom in and take a look at this and make sure everything's lining up. The zoom in, zoom out feature is located in the bottom right corner of your Canva screen. Oh, the devil is in the details when it comes to creating books. I've got alternating line colors here, and something's not quite right. So I'm referencing my color box as I click on each one of these lines to see if they're actually alternating or I need to edit them. When you're working with a number of elements in a page or a collection in a section on the page, it's very helpful to group them together. So you're going to get them exactly the way that you want and then click the group feature. You have to highlight each element before you click group. You cannot group an element with another element if that element is already in a group. I know that sounds really way too complicated, but it's not. You just can't have elements in more than one group. Now that I've got all of my elements exactly the way that I want them, I'm going to copy all of the elements on the page. To do this, you highlight the page and then you select Control A or Command A on the Mac and select all of the elements. With everything selected, Group and Ungroup appears in the top right of your page. We're going to select group so that we can group all of the elements together. It'll make it easier for us to work with them. Now we can literally just grab the whole thing and copy it and drop it onto the next page. Now we're using the Add Page button and adding pages. But hold up, before we add those additional pages, now we're going to use another feature in Canva that has saved me so many times. Before we make any additional pages, we're going to actually make a copy of our book file. So on our toolbar ribbon, click File, scroll down to Make a Copy, and select Make a Copy. This will take a sec, and then the new page will open up with the new file. Rename it at the top, allow the changes to save, and then close this so you're working in the correct copy. So you're probably thinking, why is she making a copy? That's a great question. And the reason is because I like the way this book file is set up, and I may want to use some of these other elements going forward if I decide to make another copy of this book or for my next book creation. And there's really not a need to do that with the entire book. I really just need these first basic element pages. Plus, we've done a lot of work, so it is a great idea to go ahead and make that copy because you've got a backup if something happens. So we've renamed it, and Canva is now just saving that. Once the save is complete, we'll close this so we are working in our original copy. Canva saves everything. That's the great thing about working in Canva that I love. As you become a content creator, you're going to see that you're going to have a lot of content, that digital content that you need to keep. That becomes a bit of an issue because you only have a certain amount of storage. So that's another reason why I love Canva, because they do store your designs for you. I'm going to close this copy out. And the reason I'm closing this copy out is I don't want to make the mistake of working in my copy, which I have done before. So I've closed that copy out, and I've got a copy of everything exactly the way I want it set up, and I can use that again. So what I'm going to do on this particular book is I'm going to go ahead and delete this page here. This is a right-facing page. This will be the back of it. This is another right-facing page. Your odd pages are your right-facing page. This is the back of it, which I really don't want this to be the back of my page. I want this to be a right-facing page. So this blank page that I have created here, I'm going to move that up. And so to move up a page, you can see you just click the move up arrow or move down. And so now this is going to be on the back of this page. So this will be on the back of this page. And then our first lined page with the elements that we have created will be a right-facing page. And so what I'm going to do is just leave this just like this, and I'm going to alternate my pages from element pages to blank pages. That way it gives the journal owner an opportunity to have those blank pages in there to add additional things, to doodle, to make notes, whatever it is they need to do. It gives them that freedom and flexibility. A quick trick here to set that up. So we're going to click the grid view here in the bottom right corner, and this is going to take us to our book grid view. And so here we have our grid view. And if I had 100 pages, which is the maximum that you can set up in a Canva document, all 100 pages would be displayed here. This is a great way for you to work with adding those extra pages in. So now I'm just going to simply add another blank page. Okay, so it is adding a page with my background on it because I've set this up as my background instead of a blank page. I want to duplicate this page. Once you have your basic design, working in grid view is so much faster. If you hover over a page, you'll notice it gives you the option to duplicate or trash. You can also drag and drop your pages, allowing you to be able to move them around in this view. Okay, and then you're just going to repeat the process, but you're probably wondering, well, how do I get rid of this? You said you wanted to leave it a blank page, so let's look at how to get rid of that. I'm going to go ahead and hit add here one more time. You can see it's going to add another page, and there we go. So let's go ahead and go to that particular page. So we're just going to click on it. It's just a double click here and it will open up to that page. To get rid of that background, click the page so it's highlighted and then hit delete and it takes it off. So you have a couple of decisions to make from here, but before we get into those, now you've learned the basics to setting up your book. If you want more than 100 pages, then that's going to be in the next video and creating that part 2 section of your book. There'll also be another video on your cover and another video on publishing it on the site and getting it out there for the world to own a copy of your book. So if you haven't subscribed, make sure that you do with the notifications set to all so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos. I'll link any of the videos up at the end in the series as well as in the video description below. Watch the process video on the watercolors that I did so you can learn how to do those watercolor and pen creation. So there's 2 decisions left to make here. A, how many pages do I want this book to be? B, do I want to add any additional elements? But I'm going to stick with it as is, and the only thing that I'm deciding is whether or not that I want that blank page there or whether I want the floral page with the transparency as my alternating page. So now it's just a matter of simply repeating the process once you've decided how many pages you want in your book, and finish adding those pages. As far as pages go, that is a personal preference and determined by the book you're creating. Novels will vary as much as self-help books, journals, and planners. A simple lined, undated planner or journal can certainly be 100 pages. I would not recommend less for that type of book. Dated planners may be more depending on your layout. So what's next? You've learned Canva, how to use the free version, and what features to avoid. So start your book layout. Reference the section in this video again. Create your forward-facing page and the book info page. Remember, think call to action / marketing here. In other words, where and how you want to interact with your community, followers, and our readers. Set up your page templates and create your first 100 pages. Not a self-starter or need more hands-on or guided personalized assistance that gets you started and published from A to Z? Consider my workshop. The details are in the video description below. Regardless of what you choose, I'm really glad you are here on this fun journey with me. I'm Penny, and you'll see me again soon with more publishing tips and cool artsy stuff.